What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Men of Order Sports. I got Big Mike Raider in the house. It's AG400 over here. Welcome back. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you're not new here, but you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, do that as well. We're going to talk about this Dolphins and Bills matchup here. This is the best matchup of the week. I can't believe they kept it in the 1 o'clock window instead of trying to do something. I mean, we got to watch Zach Wilson Sunday night and Daniel Jones on Monday night instead of watching these two studs, go against each other. There's a lot to look at here, though. So, both teams are top 10 in yards per play on offense. Both teams are, middle of the pack towards bottom of the pack in yards per play allowed on defense. So, you're looking at possibly a shootout, but both defenses also can hunker down a little bit. There's a lot to look at here. I think that if we're looking at the spread here, Dolphins +3 is the safest way you can possibly play that. If you're taking Bills -3 and you're confident in that, I don't know what you're looking at. And I'm not saying that I'm confident in my side picking Dolphins +3 here. I'm just saying that you got to go for that because who knows who's going to win this game? There's no real edge. All of this betting is pretty much, whatever you think, who you think is going to win. So I'm not going to take a strong side in that. But yeah, if anybody's telling you that they're confident in Bills to cover 3 points and win by more than 3, they're lying to you, man. I'm telling you. This game is a very even matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot from these teams. And this game is going to tell us a lot about these teams going forward.
Right. And put this out there as a disclaimer, right? Me and you, we do the research. We look at the numbers, we break down the numbers and make our decision based on the numbers. But in this game, we can't do that because of how extreme on both ends things are with the short sample size we do have, right? On one side, you got the Dolphins are putting up 90,000 points per game on offense, and then you got the Bills have been playing well on defense, but we already mentioned the 3 quarterbacks that they played this season: Jimmy G, Sam Howell, and who was the third one? Zach Wilson. So what are we getting from the Bills defense? What exactly are we getting from the Dolphins offense? Both are playing extremely well, but the numbers are skewed, right? So that's kind of where we look at this and we're like, okay, we really our mind can't really wrap around it. We can't really make a sound decision based on the numbers, right? But what we can say is that, the Dolphins, this is going to be a close game, and the safest thing, right, is the Dolphins +2.5, +100. It's a good value for it as well, even money. So that's what I would go with that one. And the over under, I wouldn't even touch it. It's hard to say. You could get like a 28-24 game, which is just under that 53.5, or you can also see a shootout. The scenario is hard to say at this point.
Yeah, so just to dive deep on these two units that we're talking about here, we're talking about the Dolphins offense and the Bills defense so far. We're going to flip the other side too in a little bit, but Dolphins are number one. They got the number one offense right now, number one passing offense. They just put up 70 points. They got the number one scoring offense, all that, right? The Bills, they got the number 2 defense, the number 3 passing defense, number 2 scoring defense. But like we said, look at who they played against. And they even dropped that game against Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson came in and started diming it up a little bit. Where the Jets really got them was in the run game. But we'll get into the run game too in a sec. Here's the other thing, though. So we talked about how the Bills defense hasn't had much competition. They went against Zach Wilson, Jimmy G, Sam Howell. Doesn't really prove much. We want to see you do it against Tua and this Dolphins offense, right? However, on the flip side, this Dolphins offense has been doing this against not great competition either. The Chargers are dead last in passing defense. The Broncos are 29th in passing defense. The Patriots, who they actually was the only team that kind of slowed them down, that they struggled with, that's the only game that Tua has not put up 300-plus passing yards so far. They're 5th in the league, right, in passing defense. So, when we saw them get some good comp, which this Bills defense is supposed to be, it all slowed down just a little bit. So, we're looking at that. We got Tua's over-under set at 271.5 passing yards, and I know that looks great, right? Everybody's like, oh, yeah, take the over. It's going to be a shootout. I just want to caution everybody, very sneakily, Tua hasn't put up more than 234 yards against the Bills since his first game against them back in 2021. Back in 2021, his first game, he put up 361. Since then, he's got 205, 186, and 234. So he hasn't even come close to this total number. Now, I know they also didn't look as good as they do this year. But like we said, you got to look at those defenses that they played against. It's not like Tua went off against the Patriots when they had a really good defense and good coaching that they played against, right? So there's a lot to look at there. The Dolphins have allowed the least sacks in the NFL, but the Bills average 4 per game. They're second right now. So who wins that matchup? I can't tell you that. I don't know. I got to watch the game just like you guys. You know what I mean? So I will say one thing that is, possibly going to hinder the Bills, tremendously in a game against this Miami team is their injury report right now. They got 4 DBs on the injury report. Jordan Poyer is listed as out. He was questionable yesterday. They just listed him out now. And then the other 2 are probable, and there's one more questionable. So, if those guys don't go, if only one of those guys go, I mean, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua show, man. You know what I mean? So we got to wait on that too. But either way, I mean, it's just such an even matchup, like we've been saying this entire episode so far. That's tough to call.
Yep. And, you kind of had me sold on the under for 273 with Tua. But, when you did mention that the secondary, there's a lot of questionables as far as the secondary goes. I'm going to be reserved and kind of wait and see what happens with that injury report if I have to pick one or the other. But
if these last 3 guys all go tomorrow, then I'm not factoring it in as much. I mean, Jordan Poyer is a loss, but as long as the other safety that's on the report is able to go, it looks a little better at least.
Right, and under looks pretty good. If I had to pick one, I would like the under for yards. Would you say 271?
Yeah,
I can see him kind of going a little bit just under that. I don't love it. One thing you did mention to me, I don't know if you want to kind of flip sides right now, right? One thing you did mention off air was the Bills giving up, their yards per rush attempt.
Right. So that's a good way to transition because if the Bills' passing defense is as legit as they've looked against these mediocre quarterbacks, if they're able to slow this passing attack down from the Dolphins, then maybe the Dolphins rely on the run instead. They have the number 1 rush offense so far. They have the number 1 everything. Like Mike said, they're not going to keep that up all season, but a lot of that is skewed by the fact that they put up 70 points and were running all over the Broncos last week. You take that game out, they're not the number 1 rush offense, but they've been having success. They're 6.1 yards per carry right now, but that's heavily weighted by last week because there was like 4 or 5 different 50, 60-yard touchdown runs, They did put up 145 rushing yards versus New England, though, and New England is 9th in yards per carry allowed right now. The problem is the Bills, they're last in yards per carry allowed right now, 5.9 yards per pop they're allowing, and that's despite that Raiders game where they had Josh Jacobs for like 9 attempts, minus 2 yards. So the fact that he had minus yardage on like 9-10 attempts and they're still last from the other 2 games is that shows something that could be scary for Bills fans, man.
Yeah, and that's the bit of information. If you have to take any kind of information from us in this one, that's the one that's like, okay, I can rest my hat on this one and make a sound bet, right? So I do like a chain to, or wherever how you pronounce his name, is 36.5 over in the rushing yardage, and that's a minus 115. And Raheem Mostert 50.5 over for that one. That's also a minus 115. I like both of those, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Mostert, he's hit 80 plus in the last 2 games. Like when they give him the rock, speedy guy, and a chain seems to be the same exact style. And they fit that, they complement that passing game so well. So if they have to get out of the pass a little bit, if Tua's struggling a little bit, it seems like the Bills might have his number based on his history against the Bills, which I was actually surprised by too. When I looked it up, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting no more than 234 yards in the last 4 meetings with them, I was not expecting that because he went off in his first one for 361, but ever since then they've had his number a little bit. So, definitely things to question there. But if they turn to the running game, I like both of those bets. Honestly, even if they don't turn fully to the running game, I like both of those bets because either way, if they're sniping them on the outside and the Bills are all worried about all the weapons and they start hitting you with those little, draw plays and whatnot, off tackles and things like that. That's what they like to hit you for those randomly while you're worried about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
Right. And then on the flip side, right, we've been really talking about the Dolphins offense, but the Bills offense is is no slouch either, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Josh Allen, he's going to get his issue with the rushing attack as well and passing. 35.5 for Josh Allen to go over rushing. I like that. And you were mentioning rushing attempts for Josh Allen too. That's something to look at. I don't have it right here in front of me, but if you can find anything as far as that goes as rushing attempts, I do like that. And then kind of expect like a distributed passing attack from Josh Allen. So if you really do think it's going to be a distributed rushing attack, you can make a good parlay. Pick one of the tight ends. Dalton Kincaid over 25.5 is a minus 130. Dawson Knox is over 22.5. That's a minus 120. Gabe Davis, he's always good for a few catches, over 41.5. It's a minus 120. And then Stephon Diggs, that's a little high. It's a minus 115 for 81.5 yards. I would stay away from a Stephon Diggs and kind of, get those complementary pieces and kind of look at their smaller yardage and then kind of parlay that, put it together, and you might get something to hit.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point. So, I mean, the Bills, they have the upper hand in the pass offense too against this passing defense from the Dolphins. But the real upper hand that they have is in the run game, which what you started off with. The Bills or the Dolphins defense, they're 24th right now rushing yards allowed and 25th in yards per carry allowed. Now, the fact that they're 24th in yards per carry allowed, I mean, we've been talking all week about how these numbers are skewed right now. It's only week 4. We've only seen 3 games. There's a lot of dependency on matchups for how those numbers go. But the fact that the Dolphins have been boat racing everybody and teams are still running well on them, even though they're in pass-first situations, that says a lot about that defense. That might be a shaky spot for them. So I think that's a good spot for the Bills to attack. You got James Cook, who's been going off so far this season, and his number's set right around 58 to 60 on all these books. You can even get a 57.5 as of right now on BetMGM for minus 120. So, I mean, you could take it up a little bit, 58.5, 1 extra yard, you get minus 110 instead, so better value. But I think that's a good look too as well. I mean, we've seen decent games from receivers versus Dolphins so far in the passing game, but is that mostly due to them having to pass for most of the game? I'm not sure. Obviously, I trust Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs to get some stuff going. I just don't know about the 80 yards. And, obviously, because we said that, he's going to go for like 150, him and Tyreek.
Right.
But both of those numbers are set really high. I don't like touching them when they're that high. But the fact that we're getting a James Cook at 58.5 against this Dolphins rush defense in a game where you're going to want to slow down the Dolphins, and you do that by running clock and keeping the ball, keeping time of possession. So I think they definitely go for the run. I mean, and his rushing attempts is 12.5 you could get. So, I'm pretty sure he's hit those in every game, all those numbers there.
Yeah,
double check that.
He did with the Raiders for sure. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so he had 12 for 46 in the first game, but, that was the first game, all good. Yeah. The last 2 games, though, 17 for 123, 15 for 98. I think this 58 is pretty low. I think that's going to be an official play tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to lock it in right now. James Cook over 58.5 rushing yards. Give me that all day in this game.
Yeah, so I agree.
You got to slow the Dolphins down somehow, man. And if you can run against them, you have a good running attack, which is proven already. Go for it, right?
Yep, definitely. And James Cook is not going to be the only show in town either, right? You're going to have Josh Allen. He's definitely going to run too. Yep. Yeah, he's going to have his issue too. So, kind of transition over to touchdown scores, right? If they do get the run game going, Latavius Murray is great historically in the red zone. Short, those short, 2-3 yard touchdowns. Latavius Murray plus 1,800 for first touchdown, or anytime touchdown is a plus 280. Like, I can see Latavius Murray getting on the board once again.
That's juicy on the first touchdown, man.
He's always. You give him the ball, he's good for 1, maybe 2 touchdowns. There's been times when I'll pick him on fantasy if I'm down a running back. For 1 week, I'll put Latavius Murray in. He gets 2-3 touchdowns. Yeah. And then I got like 16, 17 cheap points, just off of Murray just getting in the end zone, dialing
the David Montgomery way.
Right, exactly. So, I can see them getting into the red zone and dialing, the big back and getting them into the end zone and scoring like that. It's worth a shot, right? Plus 1,800 for first touchdown and plus 280 for anytime score. So I really do like that one in the red zone if they get in that situation.
You like anybody specifically on the Dolphins, or too many weapons to really pick from, or
too many weapons to pick from, and they can score from 70. They can score from,
goal line?
you just never
80,
know. Goal line
50
80,
yards. Yeah.
it's Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs are the most they have the highest odds. I mean the lowest odds. So plus 700 for first touchdown for Stephon Diggs, plus 750 for Tyreek Hill. If you're feeling like, oh, they're gonna, hit a home run shot. And then you have somebody like, any of the running backs, a chain or Mostert.
I mean, they might. Why don't we just parlay 4 touchdowns each from those guys, right? I mean, might as well, right? I mean, that's there's a winning bet last week.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean, you could get something like that. It's pretty crazy, right?
You see those memes of the fake Mike McDaniel in the stands?
Yeah.
He's over there like, yo, I swear to God, if somebody shows me a chain and Raheem Mostert 4 touchdowns each parlay, I'll fucking make it happen right now, guys.
Right.
Somebody was like, I got it.
Man. Hey, you never know, right?
Imagine having that ticket in from the start. I mean, you can't even get to 4 touchdowns, but imagine having 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns from either of those guys as a straight.
Man.
But all together, I mean, whew.
Cashed out for sure.
Man, that'd have been a good one. And sorry, Mike, we would have cashed that parlay Thursday. My apologies. So speaking of cashing the parlays, that one's on me.
Hey, you really talked me out of that one, man. You were like, oh, no, that one sucks.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that the bet was a bad one. I just don't like when they give the bets. But I did say it has to hit sometimes. In order for it the facade to work, to get people in, it has to hit. It just so happens the day we bring it up was the day it hit, and I was talking smack on it.
Man, what's crazy is that there was no sweat on it.
Yeah,
you knew it was in by second quarter.
Bro, Mike texted me in the second quarter. Was like, yo, that shit's cash, bro. I'm like,
That hurt. That would hurt. I'm not gonna lie, man. But, hey, that's how it goes sometimes, man.
Yep. Anything else you're thinking in this game? Overall, I think that, besides those couple straights that we dabbled in, we got to wait on the rest of this injury report. So tomorrow morning, I'll lock some of this in. This is definitely going to be a fun game to bet, but also a fun game to stay away from and just enjoy. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I'm gonna figure it out, but it seems like a great same game parlay type of game. So I'm definitely going to put a same game parlay down, have some fun. I'm thinking like maybe 60 yards from Hill, 40 yards from Waddle, 25 rushing from McCain, 30 rushing from, Mostert, like something like that, James Cook for 40 yards, Josh Allen for 25 rushing, Tua maybe 200 plus passes, like something like that where you just go down the list, but with a little easier numbers just to have some fun. If one of those guys misses, it is what it is. I'm not putting, $500 on it or whatever. But I'm definitely gonna make that a part of tomorrow because it's gonna be a fun game to watch and have some stuff riding on it. Pause.
Yeah, it's one of right. Pause on that one, but it's definitely one of those games where you can stack some good. It's a lot of guys that can really get their issue in this game, and you can really bank on that for sure. So yeah, this is a fun game.
Yep, and I want to say do yourselves a favor and don't put touchdowns in those parlays. Because they're going to find a way to get you. It's going to be the random tight end you never heard of or whatever that scores. I want to tell you guys that, but I'm probably going to end up putting a touchdown in my parlay too. So
right.
I'm with you guys, man. I'm no better than you guys. I just think it's good advice. I don't always take my own good advice, though.
Man, yeah, I hear you. Trust me. I know that one firsthand, man.
I think we all do. Man.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to talk about in this game? Overall, it's going to be a great game, I think.
No, it's going to be a great game. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, hey, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for coming on again, Big Mike Raider. Make sure you guys check out our other videos as well. We got the Chargers and Raiders. We got the Browns and Ravens, Eagles and Commanders. We'll be back Monday night as well. And we'll keep this going through all season long. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and also follow us on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, MOO_sports. That's just more fast paced. So the picks don't always make it here sometimes. when time doesn't permit. But Twitter, we can always get them out, especially when there's injury news we're waiting on and things like that. So make sure you follow us there. If you're on Twitter, that's where all the official picks come out, if not here. And other than that, best of luck betting this weekend. Leave us a comment if we missed anything. If there's any really good bets that we did not look at in this game, first quarter overs or first half overs, things like that.
Right.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know the trends. Maybe they'll make it to Sunday.
Yep, definitely.
Peace, everybody. Best of luck betting.
All right, peace.